Welcome back to the deep dive. I have to admit, usually when I sit down to prep for these conversations, I feel like I'm settling in with a good book. I've got my coffee,
Yeah.
highlighting paragraphs. It's a very civilized process.
Right. It usually is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but today was not civilized. Today felt like I was staring directly into the matrix. I opened the source material you sent over, and I physically recoiled. I think I actually said, "Whoa," out loud to a completely empty room.
That is the standard reaction, honestly. I think I would be worried if you didn't recoil at first glance.
Because we aren't just looking at a concept today. We are looking at an equation. I don't mean a metaphorical, equation for success like you'd see on some cheesy motivational poster.
Yeah.
I mean a literal, massive, terrifying algebraic string of characters.
Yeah.
It looks like something you'd see on a blackboard in a movie about theoretical physics, right before the scientist realizes the world is about to end.
It really does have that Goodwill Hunting aesthetic to it, doesn't it?
It really does. It's got nested brackets, parentheses inside of brackets, division symbols, these weird circles with plus signs in them. It is intimidating. And my first thought was, why are we doing math? I thought we were talking about psychology.
And that right there is the hurdle, that visceral reaction you felt, that feeling of, I'm not smart enough for this, or maybe this is too rigid for human life. That is exactly where we need to start. Because this isn't math class. We aren't solving for X to get a number. We aren't trying to calculate your credit score here.
Okay, so what exactly are we doing?
We are looking at what the source material calls the full expression of metamatics. And the premise is bold. It's asking a really fundamental question. It asks if we can take the messy, chaotic, emotional reality of being a human, your career anxieties, your relationships, your integrity, your fears, and map them with the exact same structural precision that an engineer uses to build a suspension bridge.
It sounds almost cold when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to turn a human soul into a spreadsheet.
I can completely see why it feels that way. But think about the alternative for a second. The alternative is how most of us already live. We rely on intuition, we rely on feelings. The source introduces this character, they call him the traveler.
Oh, right. I love that imagery.
Yeah, the traveler's standing at a window, looking out at a city, and they're feeling this deep current beneath everything. They know when they're aligned, like when the day is just going great, and they know when they're drifting. But they can't design it.
Right.
They are victims of what the text calls accidental oscillation. If the sun is out and the coffee is good, they have a good day. If it rains and they get a rude email, they completely spiral.
That hits home.
Yeah.
I think we all know that feeling of being a cork in the ocean. You're just bobbing along, hoping the waves are kind to you today.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the traveler wants to stop being a cork. They want to move from just feeling alignment to actually engineering it. They want to build a hull and a rudder. And that is what this massive equation is. It is not a cage. It's a blueprint for a hull.
So if you're listening to this right now and you're driving or you're at the gym and you're visualizing a nightmare of algebra, don't panic.
Oh.
We are going to unpack this piece by piece. We are going to translate the math into English. And I promise you by the end of this deep dive, those brackets aren't going to look scary anymore. They're going to look like a map.
A map out of the chaos.
Okay, let's define our terms before we get into the really heavy lifting. We were talking about metamatics. You called it a pseudo-algebraic concept mapping system, which is a serious mouthful of $10 words.
It is a mouthful. Let's simplify it. Algebra is just a language of relationships. That's all it fundamentally is. If I write A over B, A/B, I'm not talking about the number A or the number B.
Yeah.
I am describing a relationship where A is on top and B is on the bottom. I'm describing a dynamic.
So metamatics is just borrowing that grammar.
Precisely. It borrows the syntax of math to describe the dynamics of the soul. The core philosophy here is, and this is a direct quote, metamatics isn't about numbers, it's about relationships.
I found another quote in the text that really stuck with me. It says, it gives architecture to intuition. Because I often have this intuition that I'm stuck. But stuck is such a vague, useless word. You can't fix stuck.
Exactly. You can't debug a feeling. If you go to a mechanic and say, my car feels sad, they can't help you.
Right.
But if you say, the intake valve is clogged, well, that's a mechanical reality. Metamatics tries to do that exact thing for your life. If you can map stuck as, say, my ambition is being divided by my fear, Well, now you have an equation, and equations can be solved.
So our mission today is to decode this specific beast of an equation called the full expression. And just to give you, the listener, a roadmap, this equation looks at four main variables of your life: A, B, C, and D.
And it tests them. It doesn't just list them out. It puts them through a rigorous stress test. It asks, can you wield control in these areas? Can you surrender control? And this is the absolute kicker. Can you do both equally well?
Let's jump right into section 1, the syntax of reality. We got to learn the alphabet before we can read the book. The most basic symbol in this entire system is the number 1. But in this world, 1 isn't a quantity. It's not one apple.
No, not at all. In mathematics, 1 represents the self, the conscious agent, you, the observer behind the eyes.
Okay, so wherever I see a 1, that's me. Now, the most mind-bending part for me was the fraction bar, the relationship between the top and the bottom. The text talks about iterator mode and delineator mode.
This is foundational. If you don't get this part, you won't get the rest of it. Let's visualize a simple fraction. Numerator on top, denominator on the bottom. In math, the denominator is the namer. It's the grounding number. It sets the terms of the whole fraction.
Right.
So scenario 1, we have x over 1, x/1. The self, the 1, is on the bottom.
So I am the foundation.
You are the foundation. You are supporting the x. You are wielding the x. This is iterator mode. Think of it as I drive the car. You are the source of the action. If x is confidence and you are in iterator mode, x over 1, you are actively deciding to be confident. You're pumping yourself up. You are the engine.
Okay, that feels empowering. I am the driver, x over 1. I like that.
We all like that. It feels like control.
Yeah.
But now we have to flip it. Scenario 2, 1 over x, 1/x. Now the self is on top. The x is on the bottom. The x is the foundation.
And this is where I get tripped up. Because if I'm on top, shouldn't I be the one in charge?
In a corporate hierarchy, maybe. But in a fraction, the bottom number defines the reality. If I have 1/4, the 4 defines the exact shape of the slice. So if you are 1 over x, you are resting upon x. This is delineator mode. The translation is x shapes me.
X shapes me. My immediate reaction to that is just resistance. It feels passive. It feels weak, honestly, like I'm being crushed by X.
And that reaction is exactly why we need this work. We are culturally conditioned to think wielding x over 1 is good and yielding 1 over x is bad. But think about the floor you're standing on right now. Are you wielding the floor? Are you forcing it to hold you up?
No, I mean, I'm just standing here.
You are yielding to the support of the floor. The floor is delineating where you can go. You are resting on a structure you didn't build. That isn't weakness. That is just sanity. If you tried to wield the floor, like if you walked around trying to mentally force the concrete to be hard, you'd be exhausted in 5 minutes.
That's a really good point. There's an actual relief in the yielding.
There's this walking analogy in the source that I love for this. X over 1, the iterator, is I'm walking. It's a conscious action. I'm placing one foot in front of the other. 1 over x, the delineator, is walking is who I am. The action has become so completely integrated that I don't have to do it anymore. It is carrying me.
So 1 over X isn't just passivity. It's integration. It's flow.
Exactly. It's the profound difference between trying to be honest, which is x over 1, and just being an honest person, which is 1 over x.
Okay, I'm with you. We have the self, which is 1.
Right.
We have wielding, x over 1, and yielding 1 over x. Now let's look at the symbols connecting them. We have the slash, which is division or filtering, but then we have this circle with a plus sign inside it, the synthesis operator.
Yes, the synthesis operator.
And the text gets very, very aggressive here. It says in bold letters, this is not addition.
It's a crucial distinction. In arithmetic, 3 plus 3 is 6. The original 3's are still there. They're just sitting next to each other in a pile. Synthesis is chemistry, not arithmetic. It's hydrogen synthesized with oxygen.
Right, you don't get gas plus gas, you get water.
Exactly. Emergence. Wetness didn't exist in the hydrogen. It didn't exist in the oxygen. It emerged purely from the synthesis. So when we see A synthesized with B in this equation, we aren't talking about multitasking. We aren't talking about doing two things at once. We are talking about combining two variables to create a third qualitatively different state of being.
And finally, the asterisk.
Synergistic amplification, the multiplier. This is the bridge between the two halves of the equation. But let's put a pin in that until we get there.
All right. We have our vocabulary. Let's look at the map itself. The equation is split into two massive halves, the left half and the right half. The left half is called the initial orientation.
This is your default mode. This is how you show up to work on a random Tuesday.
Let's break down the numerator, the top part of the left half. It reads, bracket A over 1 synthesized with 1 over B, close bracket, divided by 1. I know that's a lot of brackets for an audio format, but visualize it. You have A over 1 and 1 over B, and they were being synthesized.
Let's strip it down. A over 1 synthesized with 1 over B. A over 1 means I wield A. 1 over B means B shapes me.
So I am controlling one thing and submitting to another thing at the exact same time.
This is the classic structure of a craftsman. This is the hallmark of mastery. Let's use the Master Chef example from the text because it makes this click instantly. Let's say variable A is knife skills, and variable B is ingredients.
Okay, I'm tracking.
The chef wields the knife. A over 1. They are in total control. They decide the angle, the speed, the pressure. They are the iterator. But can you wield a tomato?
I mean, you could smash it.
Exactly. If you try to wield a tomato the way you wield a knife, if you try to force it to be something, it's not you ruin it. You have to yield to the ingredient, 1 over B. You have to listen to the ripeness. You have to let the structure of the vegetable dictate exactly how you cut it.
So the chef is a synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute control of the hand, variable A, plus absolute submission to the food, variable B.
Yes. And if you get that balance wrong, it's a disaster. If you yield to the knife, meaning you let the knife go where it wants, you cut your finger off. If you wield the tomato, meaning you force it, you get mush. You need that specific wield-yield pairing to create the emergent quality of hot cuisine.
And then the whole package is divided by 1/1.
Filtered by the self. That just means you are conscious of it. You aren't doing this by accident. You are the governor of this dynamic.
Okay, so that's the top part. I'm driving A, I'm listening to B. But the left half has a denominator too. And this is where the math got a little trippy for me. The denominator is 1 divided by, bracket, 1 over C synthesized with D over 1. It flips. Now the self is on top and the bracket is on the bottom.
Right. So this entire complex dynamic 1 over C synthesized with D over 1 is the floor. It is the terrain you are standing on.
And inside that floor, we have yield to C, 1 over C, and wield D, D over 1.
This is the two-tier agency architecture. The numerator, A and B, is what you are doing. The denominator, C and D, is what supports you. Let's stick with our chef. Variable C might be culinary tradition. You yield to it. 1 over C. You didn't invent the concept of bechamel sauce. You are standing on the shoulders of history. You let the tradition shape you.
Makes sense.
And variable D might be kitchen hygiene. You wield it. D over 1. You scrub the counters. You ruthlessly enforce the cleanliness.
So the chef is doing 4 things at once. Wielding the knife, yielding to the tomato, standing on tradition, enforcing hygiene.
And notice the hierarchy here. If the hygiene, D, fails, or if they don't know the tradition, C, the denominator collapses. It doesn't matter how good their knife skills are. If the foundation crumbles, the whole equation goes to 0.
That is a genuinely terrifying thought. You can be the best performer in the world in the numerator, but if your denominator is weak, you're dividing by 0.
We see that all the time in the real world. The brilliant CEO who has high numerator skills but absolutely no ethics in the denominator, they eventually crash.
So that's the left half. And honestly, if we stopped there, I'd be happy. It feels complete. I have things I control, things I listen to, a solid foundation. Why do we even need a right half?
Because the left half is seductive. It's too comfortable. You figure out, hey, I'm good at wielding knives, so I'll just do that forever, or I'm good at listening to ingredients, so I'll just do that forever. You lock yourself into an identity.
And the source says this leads to atrophy.
It leads to agency asymmetry. You become a completely lopsided human being. Enter the right half. And the concept of the inversion kick.
The inversion kick, even the name, sounds like a martial arts move.
It basically is a move. It's a move against your own ego. The equation looks at your perfectly balanced left half and says, that's cute, now flip it upside down.
So we take everything we just did and reverse the fractions. Let's walk through this carefully. Variable A are knife skills. On the left half, it was A over 1. I wield the knife. On the right half, it becomes 1 over bracket 1 over A.
The knife governs me.
Wait, before we get into the philosophy of that, look at the syntax. Why is it 1 over A? Why the double bracket? Why not just 1 over A?
That is a very nuanced point. 1 over A is simple yielding. 1 over A is deep integration. It represents a nested acceptance. It basically means I am consciously allowing the shaping of me by A to be my foundation.
Translate that into English for the chef, because I'm losing the thread.
Okay, let's look at the chef. A over 1 is I use the knife. It's a tool. 1 over A is I listen to the physics of the blade. Every master craftsman knows this exact moment. You stop forcing the tool. You stop trying to cut. You let the weight of the knife do the work. You become the instrument of the instrument.
Oh, wow. So the inversion kick asks, Can you stop bossing the skill around? Can you just surrender to the flow of the skill?
Yes. And if the chef panics, if they say, no, I have to be in control, if I let go, I'll mess up, then the equation has found an iterator bias. They are addicted to control. They can't flow, they can only force.
Now let's look at variable B, the ingredients. Left half was 1 over B. I listened to the tomato.
Right.
Made half as B over 1. I wheeled the tomato.
And this is where the chef becomes an artist. Wielding the ingredient doesn't mean smashing it physically. It means conceptually dominating it. It means saying, I know a tomato is usually for salads, but I am going to turn it into a foam. I am going to deconstruct it. I am going to force it to be a dessert.
That requires a totally different energy. That's not listening anymore. That's imposing your will.
Exactly. The left half ensures you are a competent craftsman, right? You respect the food. The right half ensures you are an innovator. You challenge the food. If you can only yield, you're just a line cook following orders. If you can only wield, you're a tyrant making bad food. The master, what the text calls the navigator, can switch between them effortlessly.
This feels like cross-training.
That's exactly what it is. It's spiritual cross-training. The inversion kick reveals exactly where your muscles are weak.
I want to make this super concrete for the listener. The chef analogy is great, but the critique we got, and I agree with it, is that we need to see this in a real, messy human life. The source material gives us a software engineer profile.
Yes. Let's look at the engineer. Let's call him Marcus.
Okay, Marcus.
Right.
We need to assign the 4 variables based on the root square chart for Marcus. Variable A is technical skill, his competence. Variable B is team dynamics, his connectivity. Variable C is professional integrity, his character. And variable D is product impact, his contribution.
Perfect setup. Now let's run Marcus through the left half, his default mode.
Numerator is A over 1 synthesized with 1 over B. Marcus wields skill yielding to team.
This is the archetype of the senior individual contributor. Marcus is an absolute wizard in the code, A over 1. He decides the architecture, he picks the libraries. When he's in his text editor, he is God. But when he walks into a meeting, 1 over B, he says, tell me what to do. You guys decide the schedule. Just tell me where to sit and I'll code.
He's high agency in the code, but low agency in the room.
Right. And he loves this. It's comfortable. He thinks, I'm the genius coder who doesn't deal with office politics.
Okay. Denominator is 1 over C, synthesized with D over 1. Yield to integrity, wield impact.
He has a strict code of honor, 1 over C. He won't write sloppy code. He won't ship a security flaw. He is deeply bound by his ethics, and he wields impact, D over 1. He pushes for features that actually help the user. He's not just phoning it in.
Marcus sounds like a dream employee, honestly.
Yeah.
Why does he need the inversion kick?
Because Marcus is stuck. He wants to be a lead developer. He wants a promotion. But every single time a leadership role opens up, he gets passed over. And he thinks the solution is to just get better at Python, variable A. He thinks if I just wield A harder, they'll promote me.
But the math says.
The math says, flip it, run the right half. Start with A, technical skill. It was I wield skill. Now it must be skill governs me, 1 over A.
What does that actually look like for Marcus?
It means putting his hands in his pockets. It means physically stepping back from the keyboard. Instead of forcing the solution, I'll just hack it until it works. He has to yield to the architecture. He has to read the documentation. He has to ask, what does the system want to be, rather than what can I force it to do?
That's really hard for a hacker.
It's incredibly hard. It feels like doing nothing to him. But the real terror is variable B, the team. It was team governs me. Now it must be I wield the team, B over 1.
Oh, wow. So instead of just accepting the meeting invite, Marcus has to what?
He has to design the meeting. I wield the team means I am responsible for the social dynamics in this room. The stand-up is inefficient. I'm going to fix it. The junior dev is struggling. I'm going to mentor them.
I can feel Marcus sweating right now, just thinking about it.
He is terrified. He's thinking, no, I'm a coder. I don't do people. And that is the diagnostic breakdown. The panic he feels about wielding the team, B over 1, proves he has a delineator deficit. He is hiding in the code, variable A, to completely avoid the leadership challenge, variable B.
So the equation just exposed that his problem isn't Python. His problem is that his B variable is totally atrophied.
Exactly. And you can't fix a B problem with an A solution. If he wants the promotion, he doesn't need another certification. He needs to spend 1 week living in the right half of the equation. He needs to force himself to wield the team, even if it feels awkward, even if his voice shakes.
That's powerful. It turns a vague sense of, oh, I need to grow, into a specific structural instruction. Balance variable B.
It removes the emotion and replaces it with geometry. Your structure is leaning left, lean right to stand up.
It's like about the bridge. The giant asterisk in the middle of the equation. Synergistic amplification. The source calls this the fourth quarter principle.
This is where we answer the big so what question. Why do both halves? Why not just specialize in what you're good at? Imagine a plug and an outlet. The left half is you building the perfect plug. You've got the prongs, the wiring, it's sturdy. That's hard work. That's 75% of the effort.
Okay, I see that.
The right half is building the outlet. The holes, the ground wire, the connection to the grid itself. Now, if you have a perfect plug, but absolutely no outlet, what do you have?
A paperweight. You have no connection to anything.
Right. You have potential, but no power. This is Marcus. He's a great plug, a great coder. But he has no outlet, no leadership or connection. So his beautiful code just sits there, isolated. Conversely, imagine someone who is all outlet. They're super empathetic, great listener, very passive, 1 over X, but they have no plug. They have no agency, X over 1.
They have power from the connection, but no way to actually apply it. They probably burn out from absorbing everyone else's energy.
Exactly. The asterisk operator, the multiplication, is the electricity that flows when the plug actually meets the outlet. And the math is brutal here. If your left half is a 10 out of 10 and your right half is a 0 out of 10, 10 times 0 is 0.
Zero flow.
But if you are a 5 out of 10 on the left and a 5 out of 10 on the right, 5 times 5 is 25. The balanced person is infinitely more effective than the lopsided genius.
That really explains why some so-called average people seem to succeed wildly, while some absolute geniuses struggle their whole lives. The average person has a connection. They have flow.
They have the asterisk. They have the bridge.
This leads us into the deep theory section.
Mm.
There were 2 concepts here that I felt we rushed past in my own reading, and I want to really sit with them. First, shadow variables. The text wrote these with angle brackets.
This is step 1 of solving life problems on paper. Let's say you have an equation for productivity. You might write, productivity equals skill times time divided by distraction. You look at it and say, okay, I have high skill, I have lots of time, I have low distraction, so my productivity should be huge.
But it's not. You're sitting there staring at a blank screen.
Right. The math doesn't add up. That means there is a shadow variable. There is a hidden denominator that you haven't written down yet. Maybe the real equation is productivity equals skill times time divided by distraction plus fear of failure.
The ghost in the machine.
That fear variable might be a value of 100, so it's dividing your entire output by 100. As long as it remains a shadow variable, as long as it's invisible to you, you can't solve the equation. You just feel blocked. But the moment you write fear of failure inside those brackets, now it's a variable. Now you can manipulate it. Now you can ask, how do I reduce the value of this specific variable?
You drag it out of the subconscious and you put it on the paper.
Exactly. You turn a daemon into a data point.
The second deep concept was saturated synergization and the quarter second. This felt almost mystical to me. The text claims true mastery happens in 0.25 seconds.
It sounds impossible if you think of it as multitasking, but it's not. It's about dual participation. The claim is, can you be fully perceptive, feeling the moment, delineator mode, AND, fully receptive, analyzing the strategy, iterator mode simultaneously?
See, usually we toggle. I'm either crying with you, feeling it, or I'm analyzing why you're crying, thinking about it. I can't do both at the same exact time.
Right. We switch back and forth. Click, clack, click, clack. But look at a pro athlete. Look at a point guard in the NBA. Are they feeling the ball? Are they sensing the bodies around them? Yes. Are they calculating the clock? Are they running the play in their head? Yes. Do they switch? Do they say, first I feel, then I think?
No, of course not. If they switch, they'd get the ball stolen instantly. It has to happen at once.
It's saturated. That's the term. The embodiment and the cognition are stacked directly on top of each other. When you achieve that state, the equation adds a coefficient called phi. It becomes left times right times phi. And that is how people make a year of progress in a month. They aren't working more hours, they're just denser. They are operating on all frequencies at once.
Is that accessible to normal people? Or just NBA players and monks?
It's completely accessible, but it's a practice. It starts with that inversion kick we talked about. It starts by learning to toggle faster. First, you switch modes every hour, then every minute, then every second. Eventually, the switch entirely disappears and you're just humming.
We're moving into the final section of the outline. The fractal nature. The small reflects the large. I have to say this part haunted me a little bit.
It's the scariest part of the theory, honestly. It says the equation you use for a micro-interaction is the exact same equation you use for your macro life.
Give me the email versus marriage example from the text.
Okay. You get a difficult email from a client. Someone is very angry at you. How do you handle it? What is your equation in that moment? Do you avoid it? 1 over x, passive avoidance. Do you ignore it for 3 days? Or do you snap back? X over 1, aggressive defense. Do you write a nasty reply?
Well, let's say I avoid it. I put it in the read later folder and I just feel a knot in my stomach.
Okay, so your microequation for conflict is avoidance over anxiety. I guarantee you, I would bet my house on it. That is the exact same pattern you run in your marriage. When your spouse brings up a tough topic, do you avoid it? Do you shut down? It's the exact same code.
That is depressing. It means I'm a robot running a script.
But flip it. It's also incredibly hopeful. Because of the fractal nature, if you fix the micro, you fix the macro. You don't have to fix your marriage today. That's way too big. Just fix the email.
Just the email.
Just the email. Sit down, breathe, flip the agency. Instead of avoiding 1 over x, wield the response x over 1. But do it with empathy, yielding to their anger. Draft a response that is perfectly balanced. If you can balance the equation in that 5-minute task, you are literally rewriting the source code for your entire identity. You are training the neural pathway that will eventually save your marriage.
That is the 1 over principle.
Yes. The 1 over is a simple audit. Look at your last week. Count the times you were a driver, x over 1. Count the times you were a passenger, 1 over x. If you are 90% driver, look out for burnout. You are overheating the engine. If you are 90% passenger, look out for depression. You are resting out.
The goal isn't 50-50 in every single second. You can't be a driver and a passenger at the exact same moment.
No. The goal is balanced alternation over time. Did I drive the project on Monday? Great. Can I let the team drive on Tuesday? Did I talk for 10 minutes? Can I listen for 10 minutes? Fluidity is health. Rigidity is death.
We have covered an immense amount of ground today. We've done algebra, we've cooked tomatoes, we've debugged code, we've saved marriages. Let's head to the outro and synthesize this. What is the ultimate purpose of all this? If I master the full expression, what do I actually become?
You achieve comprehensive comprehension. You stop being just a driver. You stop being just a passenger. You become a navigator.
A navigator.
A driver forces the car through the wall regardless of the consequences. A passenger closes their eyes and just hopes for the best. A navigator looks at the map, they look at the weather, they say, the storm is coming, so I will yield, I'll drop the sails. Then they say, the wind has died, so I will wield, I'll row. They have zero ego about which mode they are in. They only care about the destination.
It reminds me of the traveler's message from the very end of the source material. A letter across time.
It's a beautiful passage. You do not need to be ready, you just need to start. The traveler distinguishes between accidental oscillation, having a good day just by sheer luck, and strategic alternation, having a good day by design.
Designing the experience.
That's the promise of metamatics. You stop being a victim of the weather. You become the weather.
So here is our final call to action for you, the listener. Please, do not just nod your head at the math today. This isn't a lecture. Think of it as a workshop. Pick one area of your life today, just one. Maybe it's that meeting you're dreading. Maybe it's your workout. Ask yourself, am I wielding this x over 1? Or is it shaping me, 1 over x?
And then just try the flip, just for 5 minutes. If you're always the hammer, try being the nail. If you're always the silence, try being the noise. Find the panic.
Because the panic is the data.
The panic is the map.
Welcome to the Infinite Return. But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. If this fractal nature applies from the micro of an email to the macro of a marriage, what happens when we scale it up to a society? Are political systems stuck in accidental oscillation? What would the full expression of an entire culture look like? That's something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
See you in the next equation.